were in the direct path of this tornado could not hear those warning sirens. I know this to be a fact because I was one of them. Anyone that has ever encountered a tornado has their own story. This is my story. This story I'm about to tell you is my version of events that happened to me on April 27, 2011. Many tornadoes touched down that day, including Tuscaloosa, and a few days after that, Joplin got hit. Due to these two big cities having damage, our small area didn't get much media attention at all, even though 33 people died in our area. It was a horrendous death. From what I understand, there were so many people, the rumor was at the time, that they had piled them in a city building like the fire department or the city hall, I don't know. There's a lot of people that said they just had to pile the bodies somewhere, especially from this mobile home park in Rainsville that got completely destroyed and people were still inside. The funeral homes, it was just crazy because it was just like they'd move one body in, have a funeral, move that one out, move the next one in, have a funeral, move it out. It was just this whole area, all these towns, Fife, Rainsville, Henniger, Sylvania, all these areas in our county, it was just insane what all happened. And this is the story. On April 27th, 2011 was a Wednesday morning. I started out my day heading to work, which I shouldn't have been on the road. My husband and children had sought shelter with a family member, and I got called out in a really bad storm, which could have potentially been much worse. I did drive through some areas that later trees had failed. They could have fell on me as I was driving. I was crazy. So, due to the fact that I was so tore up from being so scared for being an idiot out on the road that morning, just decided to stay home that day. My husband decided to go on to work, and I stayed home with my children. They were obviously much smaller boys then. I went to work helping a friend of mine whose yard had got messed up from the tornadoes that came through that morning, and took the boys to help. And she repaid us by taking us out to eat. We all knew that the day before the weatherman had been calling for some very, very horrendous, possibly earth-shattering tornadoes that day. But as I was eating with my friends, I can't explain it. It was just such a feeling of doom, of oppression. I've never felt something like that before, and I pray to God I never feel anything like that going forward in my life. But I knew in my soul something bad was coming, and there was nothing I could do about it. After we had lunch with my friends, I brought the boys home, and as you can see, you can see the back part of my land, but my whole yard is a pretty wooded area. I was cleaning up limbs and sticks that had fallen from the wind from the storms of that morning. I could tell by watching the weather that something pretty bad was fixing to head our way. I gathered the boys, we got in the car, I went to the gas station, made sure I filled up on gas in case the power went out or there was a gas shortage or something. Made sure I had cash. That's an important thing, people. If you know bad weather's coming, make sure you have cash or checks and make sure your gas is filled, because when the power goes out, it's chaos. It's just pandemonium. Went to my mother's house, stayed with her, and there was no power. The only thing we had was a radio. That's pretty much what everybody had of getting information as to what was going on. We'd already heard about tornado touching down in different areas in our state. We knew it was coming towards us. My husband got off from work at 5 and I told him, I said, beeline it to Mama's. Don't try to go home. I said, we'll be safer at Mom's. She lives in a house. We live in a mobile home. We'll be safer there. Little did I know I was putting us closer to the danger that if we'd just stayed in our mobile home. So my husband got home. Him and Mother's boyfriend were standing out on the porch. You know, guys, they want to look. They want to see if they see anything. And I was in the bedroom with Mother. She was homebound at that point. Her back was bad. And we could listen on the radio that something had just hit 5. And unbeknownst to me, my nephew was going through hell at that moment. He was in a mobile home with his mother, and since the power was out, he was outside with a car charger trying to charge his phone when he saw the tornado coming. He got out of the car and ran to the house. When he was pulling open the door, the wind was so bad he couldn't just barely get inside. And his mother, I think, was sleeping in the bed at the time. He went to run to tell her what was going on. No more had he told her that, their trailer flipped several times. They were injured, of course, but okay in the end. And, of course, I didn't know this that day until that night or the next day. I can't remember when I found out about him. But his whole trailer park was messed up, but everybody was fine. But the house across the street that belonged to the lady that rented the trailers out to everybody died in that house that day. I know this because I saw her daughter later on. Her daughter had her arm up in a sling, and she was telling me about her mother being in the house and how she passed away.
No, here comes Hey, look at the debris. Look at the debris. Thank you.
Calling the cab 911 with the wrecked head.
So we knew that, you know, it hit 5 and it was coming to Rainsville. And, you know, I had my children with me. We had Shorty at the time. We didn't have Copper yet. So I walked outside. There was just something weird out there. Something I've never experienced before, except once on a ghost tour when we went to White's Bridge, me and Jeannie. All the birds stopped chirping. All the insects stopped making noise. It was just bone-chilling, dead silence. But then, something I hadn't felt after that was, then I felt this pressure, something changing in the atmosphere. I could feel it, energetically feel it. And I knew, sort of like the animals knew, something was coming. Something was here. I ran inside and I told Mother, I said, it's here, Mama. We need to get in the closet. And she said, what makes you say that? They haven't said anything on the radio. And I said, Mom, I'm telling you, it is here. We need to hide now. I managed to get everybody in the middle room. I had the boys in the closet with the dog. Mother, bless her heart, she couldn't get on the floor hardly because of her back. I had always imagined if a tornado ever happened when I was with my kids, I'd have one around each arm of mine and I'd hold on to them so tight. And that's exactly what I did. I never imagined that I would ever have to do that, but I did that day. I held on to them. And sure enough, I could hear it coming. Some people say tornadoes sound like a train coming really fast. That's not my experience at all. My experience was an earthquake, a really loud earthquake. We'd already had a little earthquake a few years before that, and I knew what those felt like after that, so it just felt like an earthquake. The ground was shaking, like you could feel the vibration up under your feet, your legs, your butt, everywhere it was coming. And I just prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed to Jesus. I prayed to the Holy Spirit. I prayed to my ancestors and spirits and everybody that could help me, angels, to surround the house and save us. And I said these words out loud. I didn't care if anybody wanted to ridicule me for what I said, because in that moment I thought if I didn't pray, we were going to die. And so I just prayed, and I prayed out loud, and I prayed out loud, and I prayed out loud. And then I knew at some point it had gone past us. It wasn't gone away. It was still on the ground. I could hear it, and it was still shaking us, but it was going this way, past us, to my right. And I said, we're not in danger anymore. I said, it's gone around us. It's leaving us. But we still were too scared to stand up for a few minutes. But even though I was so upset about that, worried about our safety and my children, this is still hard for me to talk about. We live in a small area. These couple of counties in here, everybody knows each other. I knew in that moment that somebody I knew and loved, a friend, a coworker even, somebody I knew was going through absolute hell at that moment. And there wasn't a thing I could do about it. It was horrible, knowing that you feel bad in a way, because I was happy we were safe, and then I felt guilty for feeling that, because these people were dying and going through horrible things, and I felt guilty for being happy we were alive. Of course, I could see in hindsight what I was wrong going on with me with that, but survivor guilt, I guess. But it was horrible.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus, Lord help us. Oh, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father.
thought that was a tree. That's big. No, it's not. No, I promise it's not. It's not.
Please, Lord, just be with everybody. Holy crap, that thing's huge. Oh, all those people over there. God be with them. Y'all hear it? Sounds like a train!
After the tornado, we went outside, me and my husband, and we got out on Mama's porch, and I could see a big wire, like a power line or something down in front. But just something I'll never forget to this day was this horrendous scream of this woman. It just, you can say, it still gives me chills when I think about it. It was horrible. Either that woman was suffering big time, or she was screaming over the death of a loved one or her home. I don't know. But it was a very horrible, horrible, scary scream. So like I said, the phones were still down. But I tried to text my sister because she lived in Henniger at the time, and I was trying to let her know that tornado was still on the ground and was coming her way. Little did I know, she did not receive that text until after everything was over. While we were out just sort of trying to look, we were kind of in a dip to where we couldn't see over some trees to see other people's houses. The school, Plainview School, was just right up there. And people started crossing Chevy's Bridge to get to us, and where Mama lived, and they were like, oh my God, you know, they were pulling up in the driveway. They knew we didn't live there, I guess. They just saw me and Kevin and recognized us, you know, small town. One of the friends pulled up and said, I cannot believe you guys survived this. Look what just went over or past you. And the picture he showed me of that tornado, I had no freaking idea the size of the tornado. That booger was a F5, the worst you could see, the worst you could be through. And it was just, it just scared me half to death to see that picture. After that, more and more people came by and was stopping, and they were like, oh my God, I can't believe you survived this, you know, just right, you know, literally within feet of us. Kevin says he thinks maybe 50 feet. I don't even know if it was that far. Homes were destroyed. Buildings were gone. This storm was so strong, guys, that it even sucked grass up out of the ground and rolled up concrete pavement. It was just, it was crazy intense. in the middle of town. It destroyed Plainview. It destroyed the Coliseum beside it. The school buses for Plainview were parked right there in the Coliseum parking lot, and they were picked up like toys and thrown across the street to the way across the street. One of them went slap through the credit union that was there and landed in a big old crunched up, I don't know, looked like a big little trash can laying there. You couldn't even tell it was a school bus. It was insane. But the next day, I tried to go out and help people what I could. So the next day, I did what I could to help people. I did do some filming on a recorder I had at the time, and long before I did YouTube. So the recording is kind of whoosh, whoosh, zoom, zoom, you know, kind of crazy stuff. So maybe you can look over that. But anyway, the days and nights, it was like a week, 2 weeks before we got power back. I can't remember exactly what. They were selling generators on the side of the road in the middle of town, so everybody would have a generator just to have, you know, the news, to know what was going on out there. I'll tell you one thing, though, about being without power. You get to know your neighbors. Our neighbors came across the street. We became friends with them. We sat out here by the fire pit with no lights except the stars looking up and the occasional helicopter flying over, because they were all over the place. Those helicopters were trying to do survey of damage and things like that. But it was very sad at night when I was able to get on Facebook to read about the people that lost their homes. They had bought tents, and it was like tent city. They just pitched a tent wherever their house was because they were afraid somebody might come and try to steal their stuff, what was left during the night. It was really sad, and it was cold. I mean, it was April, but the nights were cold, and it was so sad for them. In the days to come, I heard several miraculous stories of children seeing angels that helped them and protected them during the storm, and all sorts of crazy tales. The one that stood out most to me was this family was telling me about how they had baseball helmets on their boys, and they thought the worst that would happen was that the roof would come off. So when the storm happened, they gathered up, they thought it was over, and they said it came back again. So I'm not really sure what happened scientifically wise, why they thought it was over and it came back, but it may have just turned, I don't know. But so they had their boys in this huddle, and they was all holding on to each other, and when the chaos was all done, they opened their eyes and they could see all of their neighbors eyeball to eyeball where their houses were. That there's this group of neighbors where their houses once stood, and they're all just turning and looking at each other. And in the middle of these boys, their boys that they're holding on to, they see a third child, and they don't, where'd you come from? And he just says, is it over, is it over? And they said his head was bleeding from a wound he'd received. And they just said, where did you come from? And he says, I'm the new neighbor. My mom is here somewhere. And talk about miraculous. This kid flew in the air, survived, not being hit by debris, shrapnel, what have you, and flew over to them. And how did that child get inside of their arms during all that chaos? I don't understand. It's just, you can't make sense of it. It's the most incredible story I've ever heard. And doing some research online for some videos to do this video, I came across the story and believe I found out who the child might be. I feel like it just has to be him, but I don't have, hard evidence that it is without speaking to that other family. Here's a little clip showing that boy.
We first met Blake Granados in August 2011. That's when Plainview students first went back to school. And Blake's survival story is an incredible one.
Yeah, I can remember flying and something cut my head, and my mom said there was nothing but my skull showing in.
Today's a much different and better picture. Blake's now in the 7th grade. His skin grafts are finished.
And then they did like a hair transplant, some back here, up here, and just all my natural normal hair. And
That's the school over there. This is what's left of the drive-thru. See if I can zoom in. It's hard to tell, but that was a school bus as well. That blood over here. What's left of it? This is our total house. Were you in that thing when that happened? Oh my God! Yes! This is one of the buses that flew over from the Civic Center. Somebody came by and rolled it a little while ago. I don't know what the point of that was, but anyway. There's a half full one there. And I walked over to the other side where the hotel is. Looks like there's windows and stuff blown out.
This place looks more like business.
You ain't seen anything until you get to where the credit union was and all. I mean, it's just like totally
I didn't know this place is even that deep, and like we didn't even know it goes down.
So I'm trying to
Twisted metal
see
fences.
See, this is where all their trailers were. The trailers are gone.
There's the school.
I swore I thought I saw Jacob up there working.
Checking my balls, but pretty. Whoa.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Crowell ball field, it says.
Stands are just
The stands are demolished.
demolished. The
The
fence is
ball
okay.
field's messed up pretty good, but I'm surprised that that's still there.
One of the coaches used to say that the fence is
Look
worth
at that.
more than we were.
See, the new section there's still there, but you can see the gym roof's gone off it. Look up here though. We'll come back up here a minute. Let's go. Right up on. All these trees on both sides of the road, it's like, where all these trees come from. And this poor house here, it's like, how could they even get out? You know? There's so many. Oh, I guess they got the front door there. Credit union is right there. This is the school parking lot. Better watch them. Yeah. They're trying to get these lines back up over here on the main road. Been up over there all day.
Water in there.
Front of it looks pretty bad. Where's the office? What was that thing? I don't remember that being there though. That. Well, that's what I'm asking you. Is what is that?
Some stuff with the banner and stuff at.
Oh. Oh man. It did get hit. Look at that. It's weird seeing the inside on the outside, isn't it? Oh man. This is what's left of the ag building. That's been there for who the crap knows how long. Yeah. That's the band room. It looks like it's okay. Hey, better not go that way.
I wasn't there when I was there.
I can't stand vandals. I mean, it's bad enough you got all this damage, but then to have vandals come and spray paint War Eagle on everything.
You reckon I could go in there and look in the locker?
It's probably okay. No, I mean, you know what I mean. Your locker is okay. Don't mean it's okay to go in.
And my cleats, and my helmet, and my photo pack.
Oh, I'm sure. It don't look like that building got any damage. Look Looks like it tore the baseball field up pretty good. Golly. This is the playground and stuff. It got that really good. This is, of course, the football field. It amazes me about what things are left and something ain't right. Took the roof off of the gym. I got a mark across Peggy's room, so I don't know. Must be bad in there or something. I don't know. No, you're following me. Did that ambulance just sound like it stopped here? Because it sounded like it's me. Oh, never mind, there it comes. Wonder how the library is. It looks okay. It's not. The what? Oh. Crap, it's leaking water too. The helicopters flying all morning. It did get the hotel sign. I don't know how bad. Oh man. Goodness, look at that. Don't go sleeping in it, Kyle. There's probably broken glass and everything. I don't know if that's somebody's bed sheet hanging in the window or what that is. Ooh, might want to stay away from there. That might be ghastly. Somebody light a match and we may all blow the kingdom come.
Hey, look, truck was having so much fun.
Yeah, really. Hi guys, I'm standing in the Civic Center parking lot and I want to show you the memorial that was made for the victims of the tornadoes. I haven't been here since this fountain was put here. It's very, very pretty. This is the memorial right here. We're going to go up there and have a closer look. I don't remember stairs and anything being here. This all must be pretty new. Benches, I don't remember any of this. Let's see what this sign says here. This monument was dedicated April 28, 2012. Memorial Committee member Benjamin Tahiri, project manager. And the Memorial Committee people, it lists the people that put it together. Wow. Got rocks and lights for it to shine at night. Oh, see. We remember you, remembering lives lost, and in tribute to those who united for care and recovery. Tornadoes on April 27, 2011. There is a light in this world, a healing spirit more powerful than any darkness we may encounter. It will emerge through the lives of ordinary people who call and answer in extraordinary ways. Mother Teresa. As you see on this side of the memorial, contain the names of all those who passed. Remembering lives lost in tribute to those who united in care and recovery of DeKalb County. And they've put that there. All this is new since I've been here last. As you can kind of see through the video I shot, if you remember, that was messed up and the hotel's over there. And it's vacant where the Hull House used to be. You can see the building of the credit union. And the building I couldn't ever figure out what it was indeed Sola Emerson. Katie's Catfish, the historic cabin. It's been fixed, obviously. It's been several years. So I think what I'm going to do is try to do spirit box to see if any of these souls would like to make a statement. If anybody's here that would like to speak or leave a message, you can come to this black box and talk in it. We can hear you. I may not be able to hear you at the moment, but when I play it back, I should be able to hear you. Hello? Who's here with me? Are there any more information? Ooh. Can you tell me your name, please? Are you one of the victims of the tornado?
Driving around.
Ooh. If you're one of the victims of the tornado, is there a message you want me to give one of your loved ones? They might watch this.
Hey, better select.
I've got the box. So I want to tell you guys before I leave, the spirit box session ended abruptly because my spirit box died and will not work anymore. I don't know if it's fried because it said it had full battery life. And this battery I'm using for this camera is fully charged and it has 1 bar left. It's fixing to die. So I don't know what's going on.